have to stop at a red light and you see the fumes coming out continuously. What a waste of fuel. Just think of your own country and all the traffic lights where cars stop and exhaust fuel and waste energy. Of course the petroleum companies love it. Now what do you really want? You want an elevated transportation system, about 30 feet up off the ground, so it doesn't have to stop at every red light. It takes people wherever you want to go. Right now, you have air conditioning hanging out of your window. If you put your hand behind it, you'll feel hot air, and you can use that to dry clothing. We don't use it. We don't use anything. The military is another stupid group of people. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, if I draft you, put your life up for this country, you must draft all the war industries so no one makes a buck out of war. Then it's real. They make millions of dollars selling machine guns, submarines cost $1 billion, aircraft carriers. War has always been a racket and big business. The real problem is bridging the difference between nations rather than killing. If you kill people in any other country, they'll never forget it. 30 years later, you kill their mothers, their fathers. Killing is the answer by stupid people in management of all nations. Don't talk to your political leaders. They don't know anything. Everything that you have today is technical. Sometimes people come to me and say, well, you want to make the world a better place. My world is up there in heaven. Well, if you're a religious person, Jesus said, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There's no money in heaven, no business, no private ownership. All the crap that you brought up to believe in kills people, hurts people, makes them jealous and envy. But in school they tell you it's human nature. There's no such thing as human nature. If you were brought up by the headhunters of the Amazon, you'd be a headhunter, unless you read books or traveled around. Now, if I said to you, doesn't it bother you to have 5 shrunken heads? He says, yes, my brother has 20. Is he bad? No. That's where he's coming from. In ancient Rome, they used to feed Christians to lions, but they'd starve the lions for a week to get a better show. Then they'd take the clothes off the Christians so the lions would have it easy to tear them to pieces. And the whole family used to come Saturday and weekends to see Christians fed to lions. And the little baby, the little boy would say, Daddy, can I come next week to see Christians fed to lions? Daddy would say, if you behave yourself. Now, is Daddy nuts now? That's their normal culture. In your culture, say men punch each other against the brain of the other person being damaged. And we'd all go to see that because that's a great show. And you got a big guy running with a football. Nothing new. Always the same damn thing over and over again. That entertains you and keeps you from thinking. The future will not kill people. They will fight tsunamis, cancer, heart disease, things common to all people. That's the real problem. And today, I'm sorry to say this, architects really work from ego. They design the tall building, they feel proud of it. The future architect designs for human need. To meet human needs means your house must be designed to meet whatever things you consider important. So in the future, if you're an artist, a painter, a writer, you go to school free, no money. As long as you pay money, the system is basically corrupt. Because you can pay off politicians, the drug companies pay off people, they put up $3 million to get you elected. When he's elected, he's got to take care of the drug companies, the cigarette companies. Now, all cigarettes produce cancer from 15 to 20 years as a rule. Always produce cancer. Suffering in breathing, lung damage. Why does the government allow it if the government is there for the benefit of people? Because they get money from cigarettes, taxation. That goes. They tell you that all conditions, automobile accidents, kill more people than all the wars combined. Is it easy to get rid of automobile accidents? Yes, it is. The Empire State Building in New York takes 1 million people up and down every year, and there's never crashing of elevators. When humans used to operate elevators, they used to turn a crank and never quite get to the floor, you know. But when you press today 20, it stops at the 20th floor. If you go to any airport today, there's no human beings in the trains, no conductors. They stop exactly at the station. But in New York City, you could step near the edge of the platform to see if the elevator of the train is coming. At the airports, there's a wall. You can't do that. You can't fall on the tracks. When the train comes up there, the doors do not open unless the train's there. And they still have an open New York platform where people shove and people fall on the tracks. That means that it is not the government that runs things. The government's made of people, lawyers that know nothing. And the lawyer's not a bad person as long as he has his hands in his own pockets. So when you think of society today, you think that some people are good, some are bad, some are lazy, some are creative. Not true. Everybody can be Leonardo da Vinci. I know that's hard to understand, because in your schools they tell you that some people are good, some are bad, some are lazy, some are talented. If you're a talented artist, what does that mean exactly? As well, somehow she's able to draw very well with very little instruction. Really, what is an artist? What is a writer? What is creativity? They say, well, a person's very creative. What is creativity? I'm going to try to tell you what it is so you'll know. Creativity is taking known elements and putting them together in unique ways, whether it's a story or anything else. Sometimes a girl comes up and she says, I'd like to be a writer, but I don't even know how to start. Here's some simple methods for being a writer. All you have to do is to picture a girl at a cemetery with a tear coming out. Take it from there. All you have to do is picture a man, thank you, in a lifeboat with a dried canteen, dry lips. Take it from there. That's how you write. Just one incident will give you the rest of the story. There's no magic, no talented people, no gifted people. All that comes from people who don't know what makes gifted people. I'm going to give you some idea of what makes them. Leonardo da Vinci used to associate with people that talked of gears, levers, and things. He didn't associate with the average person. That's where he got all his information. Now, this is much more difficult to accept. Man, human beings, this applies to me too, cannot think or reason, all that bullshit. That's stuff you get from your culture. I'm going to try to tell you about that. If you as a baby were raised in Nazi Germany, if you never saw anything else, all he sees is Heil Hitler, Deutschland, over alles, he's a Nazi. Now, are people bad or good? No. If you're raised in the South, in America, you're going to speak with a Southern accent. And you might say things like, I'm going to get me a nigger and I'm going to kick his ass. Is that him speaking, or does he get that from his environment? When you were raised in France, la tour Eiffel, vive la France, facial expressions, hand movement, everything you get in that country. If you live in Weehawken County, Virginia, you're going to behave like a Weehawken Countyite, unless you've traveled a great deal. Human beings can learn anything. Take children, for example. You say, Daddy, what makes the airplanes fly? Daddy, what makes a car go? And we join them up with a Mickey Mouse Club. We fill their head with crap, Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella. You pump all that crap in their head. You're a Lutheran. You don't play with that Catholic girl. Parents don't know what they're doing, but they're damaging kids. If you have two children, two girls, and you point to one of the girls and say, why can't you be like your sister? She puts everything away and you leave everything out and I have to pick up after you. Well, when your sister falls down the stairs, you have a grin on your face. You see, we make jealousy and envy. It's not inborn. We make prejudice and bigotry. It's not inborn. If you were brought up in Ireland, you say, there's a fine Irish lad right there. You speak like that. If you're brought into Australia, you say, how are you, mate? And it has nothing to do with inborn. In China, the babies have been speaking Chinese to people for centuries. No Chinese baby was ever born speaking Chinese. Never. Had to go to school. So if you took a Chinese baby and raised that baby in Italy, he says, come on, they eat. This is good food. So even the Italian accent is picked up. So all of us, all human beings need clean air, clean water, arable land, a relevant education, and medical care from birth to death without a price tag. When a doctor says your kidney has to come out, how do you know he's not trying to pay off a yacht? In the money system, it's very difficult to tell the intents of a person, the intentions. So I'm telling you that everybody talks around the problems because they don't know what they are. When you go to a normal school, they say some people are good mathematicians, others are not. Some are hardworking, some are not. Some are lazy, some are creative. All that is BS, bad science or bullshit, depending on the way you brought it. Also, there is no bad language. If you bake a pie and drop it, you might say, fiddly-dee. And if he drops a pie, he might say shit. That means, I'm sorry I dropped the pie. This has nothing to do with shit. If a person says bullshit, they mean I can't accept what you're saying. It has nothing to do with the shit of a bull. If you understand language, there is no bad language. There are no bad people. There are people brought up under certain circumstances that you're never educated about. For example, there was a man named Albert Fish. It is believed that he ate 45 children. The public wanted to tear him to pieces. I'm going to try to tell you what made Albert Fish, because people don't understand that a serial killer is made by your culture. All thieves and dishonest and corrupt people are made by this culture. They're not born that way. And if they are born that way, they need medical care, not prison. So let me tell you what made Albert Fish that way. According to his mother, who was an old-time Baptist, the little boy was sitting in bed touching his private parts when he was 8 years old. His mother said, you're going to burn in hell touching that part of your body. You will burn eternally. She scared the shit out of that kid. Kid was shaking. And mother says at 2 in the morning, that kid stuck needles into his genitals because he didn't want to go to hell. Can you understand? The genital produced hell. So he stuck needles into it. And that, when he was a little boy, about 14, 15, he used to try to take minority kids into the woods and cut their genitals off to save them from hell. What do you think a soldier is? He's a killing machine made by motion pictures and propaganda. He wants to kill those slanty-eyed bastards. They don't call them Japs. They call them slanty-eyed bastards. Germans are called Krauts. If you're brought up in Nazi Germany as a baby, you'd be a Nazi. So if you're brought up in England, you speak like an Englishman. If you're black or yellow or oriental, you'd speak like an Englishman. I say, old chap, are you a flyer? You pick that up from your environment. And the geneticists, pain in the ass, are trying to tell us that there's a Republican gene, and that there's a gay gene, and everything is the genes. They don't even see how obvious environment is. So I said to myself years ago, how are you going to turn people around? Some countries, the guys have 10 wives. And in other countries, they have a different concept of God. I once asked Einstein whether he believed in God, and he said, which one? I never thought that through a different concept. But the Jewish God says, if a man takes your son's eye out, you take his son's eye out. The Christian God says, if a man strikes you, turn the other cheek. They're all very different. So we come out with different views, Lutheran, and also the Bible is subject to interpretation. When you read the Bible, he says, this is what Jesus meant, and the other guy says, you're wrong, he meant this. The third guy says, you're both wrong, he meant that. Well, that's why you have the Lutheran, the Catholic, the Seventh-day, because it's subject to interpretation. So is your everyday language. When you talk to people, you're talking at them, not to them. Because the language doesn't permit you to talk to them. It doesn't go into semantics, the origin of words, and how to find meaning in language. But there are languages that are not subject to interpretation. Mathematics, structural engineering, chemistry. When a chemist writes a formula, no matter where he presents it, anywhere in the world, it's not subject to, I think he meant this, or I think he meant that. When the guy says, I love you to a girl, does he want to get laid? Does he like her configuration? Does he really love her? The word I love you has no meaning, neither does the word love. And we all use it. I'm going to try to prove it to you. Do any of you love everything you've ever done in life? Not a single hand. So sometimes you like yourself, sometimes you don't, sometimes you're very much against what you've done. So love is a fluctuating thing. When you get married, sometimes you love your wife, sometimes very much, sometimes I don't have to get into that situation. So love is a fluctuating system. It's not constant. You are not educated in schools. You are given bits of information. And teachers use language also that's hundreds of years old. The teacher says, that's wrong. Those words tell you nothing. Think about it. That's wrong. What does that tell you? Nothing. If a kid spells cat with a K, which they may do here, but in the States, they say that's wrong. But they don't say what's wrong. Whenever you say that's wrong, there's no information. I wouldn't drive the way you drive, but it doesn't tell you anything. When the teacher says, that's not what I told you, that doesn't tell you anything. So the real thing, if you're really interested in communication, the book is called Tyranny of Words by Stuart Chase. The language you use does not communicate. It really hits other people. And it's hard to talk to people using the everyday language. If you still don't understand me, people will come up to me and say, how's everything? And I say, not so good. I need $5,000 for an operation. Have you got it? No. Then why do you ask me how I am? Who the hell are you? In America, our president says, God bless America. Who the hell are you to tell God who to bless? Big fat instructors, always telling God what to do. I hadn't rained for 6 months, my corn is drying up. Please, I need rain. Well, what do? Watering them around? If God knows everything, why did Jesus insult God? Well, people say, I don't remember Jesus insulting God. Just before they crucified him, he looked up and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And God said, gee, I didn't know that. Thanks a lot. If he knows everything, where did he get all this crap from? It's such an artificial society that they don't even know what the problems are. I'm sorry to say this. Most people don't know what the problems are. I'm going to try to tell you in the little time that I have. That we must, I want to say it this way. Where did America get the land from? They took it by force and violence. They killed Indians, Spaniards, Mexicans, and after we stole all the land we need, I mean stole, we put up the sign, thou shalt not steal. That's the same for England, France, Germany. They've all conquered. They use the word conquered, not thieves, because they won. If you win, you're a conqueror. If you lose, you're a thief. So what is a thief? When you go to a supermarket and you buy a box of Wheaties, sometimes it's half full. They're thieves. So really, when you get up and use your voice, if you sing and you sell certain kind of toothpaste, you're a prostitute. We are all prostitutes and predators in this system. As long as you use money, you can pay off people. A girl might marry a guy because he's loaded, or a guy might marry a girl because she's wealthy. All that generates superficiality. Our whole system is basically corrupt, like all other systems. There's no country in the world that's decent or ethical, because they cannot define their terms. When a person comes up to me and says, I'm a nature lover, I'm sure you heard that shit all your life. I'm a nature lover. You mean you like earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, disease, and disaster? All that's nature. A rattlesnake is nature. What do you mean by nature lover? They don't know what the hell they're talking about. There's some aspects of nature that are okay, some are not. The bubonic plague killed half of the Earth's population. And these people walk around saying, I'm a nature lover. Well, I'm Irish and I'm proud of it. I'm Swedish and I'm proud of it. All people need the same thing. If you took a Greek baby and raised him in Sweden, he'd speak Jompen Yemeni Jesus. He would speak with a Swedish accent. So all of us are subject to environmental impressions. Now they tell you that some people are good and some are bad. If you're brought up in a world of scarcity, you hide things. If you live near a waterfall where there's lots of drinking water, nobody comes at night and steals it. But in this world, you got words like criminal. All politicians would be considered criminals in the future. All the Supreme Court judges would be considered criminal. And those of you that read the Bible, it says, judge not, lest you be judged. You're not supposed to do jury duty. Or there, but for the grace of God, go on. So how can a person be a criminal? If your lips are thin and the style is thick lips, you run lipstick higher to make your lips look a little thicker. So all the superficialities are laminated criminology. I just want to tell you something. Definition of a criminal today. One who's caught. Did you know that? Not a good definition. So, all people are criminal. All people in this culture, thank you, all people in this culture are criminal. The basic thing is to declare the earth the common heritage of all the world's people, and all of the resources would be shared by everyone. All nations would share the global resources and their knowledge. That would help all people advance. When you have separate nations, all nations are in what's in it for us. How does it affect America? How does it affect Sweden? So each person is brought up to be patriotic. I think it was Albert Einstein that said patriotism is a disease. It separates people. So really, if you really want a better world, you have to take away all the artificial boundaries that separate people. If you still don't understand me, the way France, England, Germany, America got all that land is through force and violence and killing, murdering. No foreign country ever said, America, come here, live on our land. The Indians never said that. We took it. We killed 50 million buffalo to starve off the Indians. But the Indians that fought back, we put a price on their head. We said, for every Indian you kill, you get $10. And he used to go to the government agent and says, I just killed 10 Indians. He said, how do we know that? Bring back a piece of the Indian. We started a scalp. Americans started the scalp. And you bring 10 scalps, you get $10 for every scalp. So, or take Salem, Massachusetts. They used to burn women who spoke out against established ideas. They burned them alive. They were called witches. Salem, Massachusetts. Well, what's a witch? For every witch you found, you inherit their bank account and their land. Did you know that? So it's a good reason for you to go on a witch hunt. All of us are contaminated by society. All these speeches about business, doing this and that to change things, no real change. There's nothing offered there. I'm sorry, my time's up, but thank you for attending. I hope I did not offend anyone. I didn't.